I think there's some truth in this. It can be a blessing. It can also be a curse. I think why it's a blessing for Dak Prescott is because he came from humble beginnings. He came from the country poor. He can relate to the Ray Lewises, to the Cris Carters, to the Jason Whitlocks. I think for a guy like Colin Kaepernick, biracial, grew up in Wisconsin, suburban white family, I think he struggled. And some guys have an identity issue sometimes when they're biracial, but not an issue for Dak Prescott.
But you mentioned it. If you like it, I love it. If that's your identity and you tell me that's what make you go, you told me you like wearing them hats. So I don't mess with you with that dang on hat. You told me that's part of your look and everything. So, man, go with that because when you believe in yourself, it's easier for other people to look at you and say, you know something, that's not no false confidence. That's real confidence. And the ability to be able to brace two different cultures, that's a skill set. And don't take that for granted. And growing up in a certain environment, I know it helped me when we got Randy Moss because I could talk his language. I could tell him exactly what was going to happen to him. So that allowed me to get close. And if you know anything about Ray Lewis and you know all the different personalities and things that he has had and had leadership over, you know that his personality, it evolved, but his background really helped him with the leadership.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the crucial things about Dak. He has the ability to relate to anybody in a locker room. And that's, in a locker room, Cris will tell you this, it's the one thing you have to be able to, as a leader, you got to be able to go to him differently, no matter the race. And that's what he can do very well. So he can listen to black music and relate. He can listen to white music and relate. And that's the beautiful part of him. Listen, he grew up country. In the country, a lot of times you hear kids always saying, oh, you mixed kid, or if you're in a black neighborhood, you're the wrong person to be in there because you're a mixed kid. You're in a white neighborhood, you're the black person because you're the wrong. But when you're him, you get to really say, no, I got both sides of this. I can figure out all of this. And so now being in a locker room where we don't talk about race, we don't talk about religion, we don't talk about politics.
A bunch of clicks.
A bunch of clicks.
But we don't talk about
But we don't talk about that. But everybody, when you walk in the locker room, offensive lineman in this area, defensive lineman in this area, DBs in that area, he can go in any one of those areas and survive and listen, and people listen to him. That's why he can go from Witten to Dez Bryant.
Listen, this will sound a little bit silly, but I always believed it was an advantage for players from the South. They have hunting and fishing in common. And so you got some white dudes like Carson Wentz. You can talk, hunt,
always
and fishing, and always relate.
relate.
The thing that I find interesting about this, Jason, about Dak Prescott is I did not know until today he was biracial. We've seen the blogosphere and the internet focus in on the black quarterback issue and make race an issue. It never touched Dak Prescott.
Never came up full season, guys. And you know, what has come up was the Tony Romo thing. You mentioned clicks. You know who Romo's clique was, right? The owner, Jerry Jones.
Absolutely,
the coach, Jason Garrett, going to Duke basketball games. Jason Witten in Cabo. Here comes this 23-year-old mixed-race guy who can mesh with anybody. Hey, he's a fourth-round pick. Hey, he's hanging out with us. He can speak our language. I think you guys made great points, and that's something that Tony Romo didn't have. This is a circus locker room.
When that's all you have in Dallas, you will hang out with all you have until another shiny piece come through the door.
Right. And the one thing about the NFL, I don't know about the NBA locker room. I don't know about the NHL, and I definitely don't know about Major League Baseball. But in every NFL locker room, there is a group or a piece of that locker room called the hood. All right? It ain't clean.
In every corner.
In every locker room I've been in, there's a place called the hood or the projects. So I think Dak is well equipped
to go in the hood.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, listen, I think this speaks to why we sat on TV and everybody wrote about Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, but we never heard one Cowboy player all year say, hey, what about Romo? Jason Witten early in the year was all in with Dak Prescott, and I was like, damn, that's Tony Romo's boy.
Yeah.
And so Dak won this locker room with his personality and with the confidence you were talking about.
Listen, Serengeti, when a young lion come across that Serengeti, you better be prepared to defend your pride. You got to ask yourself a real question when you think about Tony Romo. When the last time Tony Romo defended that? They ready for change. Jason Garrett, that's his new friend. Because it's a new day in Dallas. And if you think about what that new day looked like, that new day starts with Dak Prescott. Yeah, Tony Romo was great for them. But there's a new wave, man. And when you get those new waves, you have a chance to ride that wave. And that's what they're doing right now. And listen, they better ride it for the next 20 years.